Sayadaw, we would like to invite Sayadaw to kindly start the Dhamma talk now.
Okay, before we start giving Dhamma talks, we will pay homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. So today I have already said I will explain the enlightenment factor of Viriya efforts. So you also have to know what's the meaning of Viriya. I don't need to explain many things about Viriya. So Viriya means efforts or energy. But when we study according to Pali, we may have some Pali definition. Virana, power, or Virana, karma, Viriya. So that means the conditions of the nature of a brave man, or the actions of a brave man is called Viriya. So that means when we have right efforts, we become brave naturally. When we have wrong efforts, we cannot be brave anymore. So there are 2 words in Viriya, Vira and Iya. Vira means brave. Iya means heaven or heaven nature. So that means when we have the nature of brave or bravery, then we have right efforts. We should also know the characteristics, the function, the manifestation, and approximate cause of Viriya. So the first one is Usaha Lakkhana. That means the characteristics of Viriya is supporting or exertion or marshalling associated mentalities. So that means it will support associated mental factors. For example, like confidence or faith. When faith is supported by Viriya, it becomes more powerful. Similarly, wisdom is supported by Viriya, it becomes more powerful. So we also should know that we have 2 types of Viriya. The first one is mental energy. Second one is bodily energy. When we properly use bodily energy and mental energy, we have right efforts. That right effort will support good mental factors. When we have bad or wrong efforts, it will support bad or evil mental factors. So we have another definition. Sahajadana upatamana rasan, to consolidate or to support this associated mental phenomena. This is the functions of Viriya. Then we also have another definition. Asamsidana Pachupatana. The manifestation is as non-collapse. That means no retreat. Right? So no surrendering when we have aim or ambitions or goal. That is called mind power. You can also say mental energy. Okay, now the last one is proximate cause. The proximate cause is sense of spiritual urgency. That means we can also say sense of urgency. In Pali, we call samvega. This is the proximate cause. Because the words we have, be tired, he strikes wisely. That means we will not give up. We will encourage ourselves to continue our actions when our mental energy is powerful enough. So here we also should know sense of urgency is one of the faults or proximate cause of Viriya. When we have very strong sense of urgency, we will become intelligent when we are going to meditate. For example, the Buddha himself, after seeing 4 great omens, he had very strong, especially after seeing the first 3 omens, he had very strong sense of urgency. Then he renounced the world. Then he had very strong energy to continue his practice, although he encountered many difficulties. Then we have the next definition. Viriya Ramba Vatu Bhatatanawa. This is also one of the proximate cause. That means initiation of energy or ground for arousal energy is called the proximate cause. Okay, yeah, we should know what's really called ground for arousal energy. We have our own choice when we encounter some difficulties. For example, like a journey. When we are going to set very long journey, before setting our journey, we may be diligent to meditate, or we can be lazy to meditate. This is our choice. Similarly, after coming back from very long journey, we are tired. Then we can be lazy again, or we can be diligent to meditate. This is our choice. Similarly, sickness, or recovering from sickness. So when we are sick, we cannot meditate. We can be lazy, we can be diligent. When we recover also, then we can be lazy, we can be diligent. It depends on our choice. So when we have to be busy with many activities, we will be tired. Then when we are busy, we cannot meditate. Then when we finish all the activities also, if we are lazy, we can give excuses. This is our choice. We can be diligent to meditate, or we can give excuse and we can relax well. So another one is a famine, scarcity of the food. Sometimes when we don't have enough food, we can be lazy, we can be diligent, having sense of urgency. Sometimes we have a lot of food, then sure, we can be lazy, we can be diligent. It depends on our choice. The main thing is, we may have many different conditions to give excuse to be lazy. If we can overcome, then there will be right efforts, there can be better results. So if we rightly and wisely use our mental energy and bodily energy, we can achieve whatever thing we wish or we like. That is the power of efforts or energy. So when we have very powerful efforts, whatever difficulty we face or encounter, we are ready to face or overcome it. That's the power of viriya, especially mind power or mental energy. So that means right efforts will produce bravery. That means when we have right efforts, we may not be afraid of responsibilities and difficulties. Then if we have efforts, or if we are lack of efforts, we may give late excuses. So I should introduce 4 types of efforts now. So the first one, to stop the old habits of unwholesome actions. Sometimes we may have habitual unwholesome actions, and we have to overcome it or we have to stop it. If we can stop it, then we have enough mind power. Okay, practically in our daily life, how many bad habits do we have? Now, how many of them have been overcome by our mind power? For example, you may have habit of smoking. You decided to stop smoking. If you are successful, that means you have enough mind power. Your mind power is strong enough. So to prevent ourselves from the unwholesome action we have never done before. So there are unwholesome actions we have done in the samsara, but we have never done many actions, especially many bad actions in this very life. We must be able to prevent ourselves from undone unwholesome actions. For example, you have never smoked. don't try it. If you can maintain, if you can prevent yourself from smoking, that means you have enough mind power. So similarly, you can also understand many other bad actions. For example, like a drunk, like intoxicant, like a chatting, wasting time. When it becomes habits, very difficult to change. Before it becomes habitual, we should train ourselves, not give rise to that kind of habits. And 3, to maintain the wholesome action. So we are doing many wholesome things in our daily life. We must be able to maintain all these wholesome activities or wholesome actions. So if you can meditate 1 hour a day, maintain that kind of quality. Then 4, to improve the wholesome actions or to do wholesome action we have never done before. In this very life, there are many, many wholesome actions that we have never done before. For example, samatha. We may have practiced many different meditation methods, but we haven't practiced successfully trying to do it. Vipassana, we haven't practiced successfully trying to do it. There are many, many things, many, many wholesome things we have never done in this very life. We have to do to improve ourselves. So together we have 4 types of viriya: to stop, to prevent, to maintain, to improve. When we can do these 4 types of efforts, we will achieve whatever thing we wish. And many people also ask me, Pandit, how shall we check that our effort is powerful enough or not? Then we have 3 types of effort again. In Pali, you can find this Pali in many places. I think you may have listened the same Pali in from many different teachers. Arambata, Nikamata, Yunjata, Buddha Sasane, Dunata, Matuna, Senam, Nalakaranwa, Kunjaro. This is the Pali stanza. Arouse, initiate efforts, make sustained efforts in order to overcome laziness, and make an extra efforts in order to achieve the aim in this Buddha dispensation, destroying the army of death as if an elephant destroys a hut made of reeds. So here we have 3 Pali words: Arambata, Nikamata, and Yunjata. We can also say 3 types of efforts. Arambata means arousing initial efforts. That means in the very beginning of any activities or any learning or any things we are doing, we are very active before encountering difficulty. You can imagine in your childhood, the first day in the school, you are very active, excited. Similarly, in the meditation retreat, the first day, active, energetic. The second day, not sure. The third day, not sure. It depends on how you encounter your difficulties. So that means everybody has initial efforts, arambata. When we encounter difficulty, we need the second effort, nikamata, sustained efforts. That means we must be ready to overcome difficulties. We must be energetic to overcome difficulties. That's the second effort, nikamata. Then the last one is yunjata, that means extra effort. If we overcome difficulties, we must go to the end of our aim. That means we must be powerful enough to get our aim or goal. That is called extra efforts. In brief, if we have very weak mind power or mental energy, we will stop very beginning of our aim. Then if we have medium efforts, we will stop in the halfway. If we have very powerful efforts, we will try to get the end or the aim as we wish. Okay, now we should talk about how should we develop the enlightenment factor of energy or viriya. There are 11 things leading to the arisings of the enlightenment factors of energy. So the first one, apaya paya pachawakana, reflection on the fearfulness of state of war. That means reflection on fearfulness of fourfold states. For example, living beings in the hell cannot meditate. They have no choice. They just have to suffer. Thus, we can also see practically animals around us. They don't have chance to listen to Dhammatalk, to meditate, even to offer. So we have been born in the hell as animal. Now we have been born as many other living beings. When we have been born in their existence, we cannot do any wholesome deeds. So we also have to reflect how miserable, how suffering in their life, in order that we may get sense of urgency. We may feel sense of urgency. Even among the human being, you can see many people around you. There are some very poor and uneducated people. They don't know good and bad. They don't know right and wrong. They just do whatever thing they like. They're also disobedient. They don't have any human quality. They don't, in their mind, they don't have any humanity, like animal. In their life, no wholesome deeds. It's also a kind of hell being as a human being, but they are like in the hell. So for them, they cannot meditate every day. They may have depressions, anger, or unpleasant minds all the time. So when we are in this kind of situation, we cannot meditate the same. So now we must know how valuable our life is. Then when we know the value of our life, we can be more energetic. Then we can meditate well. We can do many more wholesome actions. 2, anisamsadasavita. That means seeing the benefits of energy. So we must know the benefits of our mental energy and bodily energy. Every day, every night, and every hours, every minute, every seconds, we are using our mental energy, our bodily energy. So if we are using wisely, we can get good results, good effect. If we are doing badly or wrongly, then we can get bad results. So all the good and bad results come from how we use our energy. So we must know the benefit of using energy properly or wrongly. So we all have the same ambition, the same aim or the same goal. That is to attain nirvana, supramantin states. So to attain supramantin states, we must not be lazy. It's not for laziness, it's for diligence. If we are diligent enough, we can achieve supramantin states. If we are lazy, we cannot achieve that kind of states. Similarly, any kind of succeed or success, we must use our mind power properly. We must use our body energy properly, that we can achieve any kind of success. Okay, 3, Gamana Viti Pachavakanata, reflection on the paths to be trodden. So which paths do we go in? Do we go or are we going? That means we are practicing Noble Eightfold paths. We are going along with Noble Eightfold paths. We have to reflect the path we are going. Similarly, the Buddha, Vajika Buddha, or Buddha disciple, we are going the same path. Then they have achieved Nirvana. Similarly, we must know the path we are going. So if we are lazy, we cannot achieve what we aim. So when we are diligent, we can achieve whatever we wish. So if we say another way, don't forget what you wish to be in the near future. Then similarly, don't forget what you have to do to gain your aim. So 4, Binda Bada Pajanata, the honoring of alms. That means honoring of donors. We must honor donors. So we should reflect ourselves frequently. The donors are neither your relatives, nor workers, nor slave or you, but they are serving you. We have to reflect ourselves like this, in order that we may observe precepts well, we may concentrate well, we may practice our Western training, Vipassana well. So this number 4 is just for ordinary person. So when we are in meditation retreat also, it can be for meditators, yogis, right? So when we are meditating in the meditation center, supported by many devotees, we have to reflect. We must do for the welfare of our donors. That means we must observe precepts well, we must concentrate well, we must practice Vipassana well. 5, Dayata Mhanta Pachavakanada, reflection on the greatness of the heritage. So you have known the meaning of Dhammatalk, right? You have monastery. We have Dhammatalk. That means heritage of Dhamma. So we have heritage of Dhamma. As a Buddhist, then we must be worthy, especially we must be worthy of Dhamma. If we're not very worthy in Dhamma, then our life is not that much meaningful. So we also have to know what are worth, what make Buddhist people worthy. If there are 7 kinds of words, noble worth in Buddha's teaching. I think you have known many of them. Saddha, faith or confidence. Sila, morality or ethics. Hiri, modesty. Kotapa, moral fear. Sudha, knowledge, especially Dhamma knowledge here. Jaga, charity, because of say offering. And Panya, wisdom. This also can be like inside knowledge. So all these are good quality. We have to check every day how many quality or how many words do we have. If we can have 7 of them in one day, it's a great day. We have caught a lot of words, a lot of properties. So that means all the good qualities can be obtained by good efforts or right efforts. Okay, in brief, when we have many bad qualities or disqualification too much, we have very weak mind power, especially we have very weak right efforts. When we have very strong right efforts, we may have many good qualities. So all these 7 noble words are good qualities that can be obtained by very great and right efforts. Then 6, Satu Mhata Pachavakanada, the reflection on the greatness of the Master. That means the greatness of the Buddha. So you have known the Buddha was very well known, very influential, very great. Since he was born, he was very well known, very famous, and he passed away. That's why when we can reflect how diligent he was, we can also gain our energy, we can also be diligent. So since he was born, up to his death moments, he was very influential, also very famous. Then you can also imagine when he was meditating, he was very diligent. we should also reflect on the greatness of our master, how intelligent he was. That it can cause us to gain energy. We can be energetic, we cannot be lazy, right? So in brief, we must know that our master, the Buddha, has made very great efforts. Also, he has achieved very great and immeasurable wisdom. And 7, Jadi Mahata Vajavakanada, reflection on the greatness of race or lineage. In Buddhism, the race or the lineage does not come from family descendants. It just comes from practice. So we can know our descendants, our practicing descendants come from the Buddha. So we have Buddha's lineage. That's why we must be diligent. Okay, 8. Sabrahmacharya Mahata Vajavakanada, reflection on the greatness of fellows in holy life. So that means in our society, in our Buddhist community, there are many, many diligent meditators. We should emulate them. We should reflect how diligent they are. Moreover, we should also know that, like Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Mahamoggallana, Venerable Mahakassapa, Venerable Ananda, all of them were also very diligent. Then they become very great person in Buddha's dispensation at the time of the Buddha. So we should reflect how diligent they are. We should also emulate them. And 9, Kusita Puggala Parivajanada, the avoiding of lazy folk. So that means, actually we have many excuses to be lazy, right? If too cold, we cannot do, we don't wish to do. If it's too hot, we cannot, I don't wish to do. So it's too hungry, or full of stomach. We also have like too early, too late. We have many excuses. If somebody has many excuses to be lazy, we should avoid that kind of people. So they may have more time to spend talking, useless things, also maybe going here and there, complaining many things. That means if we associate with that kind of people, we have easier lifestyle, but we cannot improve ourselves. Then 10, Arata Virya Bukala Sevanada, the association with folk who have begun to exert efforts, whatever condition they have. Then, if we associate with a diligent meditator or diligent persons in learning Dhamma, we can emulate them. We can also improve ourselves. And okay, the last one, we have Tadati Motata, the inclination towards the development of enlightenment factors of energy. So we must be interested in making energy. Then our mind must always incline to the energy, or we should remember which discourses cause us energetic. Then by listening or by reading or by overviewing any of discourse, if we can get energy, then we should reach that kind of things. Okay, so now we have 11 things that can lead to enlightenment factor to develop enlightenment factor of energy. The main thing is, when we have positive thinking, we have positive energy to improve ourselves. When we have negative thinking, we have negative energy. It makes our power weaker. Similarly, we have actions, bodily actions and verbal actions. If we are doing for the good of our environment, if we are speaking for the good of our environment, for the good of ourselves, then we are using our body energy properly. If we are doing for the pleasure of many other people, speaking for the pleasure of many other people, we are wasting our body energy and mental energy. So remember that what is it you are aiming? Now what do you have to do every day? Then if we have very clear vision about our future, we must have right action to get that kind of aim. Sometimes we have aim, but we don't have clear vision to go there, especially if we don't have right efforts. So we must use our mental energy, body energy properly in order that we can improve ourselves for the better future. Okay, so you have known in modern society, you should have many skill, right? Soft skill, like interpersonal skill, social skill, the communication skill. You also need self-awareness, the emotional intelligence, many things. So in Buddhism, we also have all these things, but now here we have additional things, that is reflections. To have all your soft skills, you must have reflections. You have to reflect the ability, the greatness of your environment, your Dhamma friends, the Buddhas, the way you are doing many things. If we can reflect, when we have more self-awareness, more soft skill. Okay, so today I cannot say any story, or I think it's very heavy topic for you. Maybe next time, if I have 11 things like that, I should divide into 2 Dhamma talks, right? As a conclusion, may you all be able to develop the Enlightenment factors or energy, and as a result of it, may you all be able to realize the final sensations, the end of suffering, nirvana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you for the Dhammatalk, Sayadaw. Now we are going to have the Q&A session.
Okay.
Brother Robbie will guide the Q&A session.
Good evening, Sayadaw, Subtitle. Now we are entering question and answer session. Sayadaw, does Wirya Sambojjhanga has any relation with Wirya in Panca Indriya?
Actually, okay, they have relationship. Okay, so that means when we have excessive efforts, then all other indriya also cannot function properly. Even last week, how we talk about it, right? If one of the enlightenment factors become very powerful, then all other can become weak. So we have to balance all the things. Similar to bala power, right? We also have indriya faculties. Then we have the same factors.
Sukihotu Sayadaw.
This is the question from Brother Johan. He is asking about the Bojjhanga Parita, the Bojjhanga Parita. So as we know that in the Bojjhanga Parita, the meaning is that when Venerable Sariputta or Buddha himself, when they recite this Bojjhanga Parita, their body, their mind become very happy. So it is said that Bante Sariputta and Buddha himself, they are sick that time, and when they chanting this Bojjhanga Parita, they become very happy, and then their sickness become cured. They become get well. So the question is, can Sayadaw explain why when we chant, recite this Bojjhanga Parita, is it actually we can cure our sickness? Is it actually when we recite this Parita, we can get well when we are in sickness? So please explain, Sayadaw.
Okay, so that means it depends on the listener also, right? So all the Parita, if listener does not believe in karma, or have wrong view, or has already committed mighty karma, Parita cannot be effective. This is an exception, okay? I will explain later. Okay, explain this one first. Okay, practically now, although I have already explained 11 ways to develop, but not that much easy, right? it's not very easy for beginners. In the case of the Buddha, so when Buddha gets sick, then Venerable Junda chant Bojjhanga Parita. The Buddha just listened to it. The Buddha also can recover from his sickness because he has already developed all these 7 enlightenment fetters. Similarly, Venerable Mahamoggallana, Mahakassapa, they also can recover from sickness because they already developed. After listening, they can rejoice. When we can rejoice, sure, our minds are heavy. Then, okay, practically another way. If you are interested in the movie, although your body is tired, you don't think you are tired. You are interested in it. Similarly, they are interested in Dhamma. They have already developed. That's why their mind become very fresh. They can overcome sickness. So, okay, in modern community, if somebody believe in karma, I have already said, right? Believe in karma, also believe in parita, also has never committed mighty karma, that parita can affect. We can, although we cannot recover fully, it can support our health. Okay.
Next question, Sayadaw. This is from Telegram. Wandami Sayadaw from Brother Edmond. How do we develop some Vega? The proximity cause of the effort.
Okay. Okay. So we have many different things for development some Vega, sense of urgency. So very easy one is think about. Sorry, I have said in the very beginning the fearfulness of fourfold states. That's the first thing. If we can reflect on fearfulness of fourfold states, we have sense of urgency. This is the first thing we have already mentioned in this enlightenment fetters, right? But there are so many other things I will explain later. Okay, now very easy one is as the Bodhisattva himself experiences, for example, aging, old people. You may have seen many old people. They cannot walk properly without any other people who help them to walk. Similarly, standing also, somebody has to help them to stand up. Lying down also, somebody must help them to lie down. Even for eating, somebody has to help them to eat, right? So they cannot maintain their body. They don't have enough energy anymore. When seeing that kind of old people, you can also feel sense of urgency. When I grow old like that, I cannot meditate well. You can also develop sense of urgency when seeing old people. Similarly, sickness. When we have sickness normally, okay, we can eat normally, no problem. There are some people, they are very seriously sick. They cannot eat by themselves. Somebody must help, like old people. When they are walking also, somebody must help. Standing, there must be somebody who can help them. Lying down, somebody must help. This means their sickness is very serious already. When seeing that kind of sick people, we can have sense of urgency. When I have sickness like this, I cannot meditate anymore. Now I'm healthy enough, I can meditate. So we have to arouse energy. We have to motivate ourselves to develop. Right? This is an easier way. Otherwise, it's like a death. After death, we cannot do anything. This is not our decision anymore. Before death moment, we have more opportunities. So we have to use our opportunity properly. So there are 3 things now, right? Aging, sickness, death. These 3 are also one of the causes of the arising of sense of urgency, samvega. And we also have many other things, right? For example, unseen past. In the past lives, we have done some wholesome deeds. We are approached by this wholesome deed. We are born as a human being. So we also have to think about Atiti Vata Mulaka Dukkha in Pali. That means the cause of round of samsara in the past. If you can recall it, this also can be the cause of sense of urgency, the ground for sense of urgency. Otherwise, anagati apayapaya. In the future, we can be living in the fourfold states. Then it also can be the cause of sense of urgency. Okay, in this very life, we have ahari pariyasana, ahara pariyasana dukkha. We have to suffer from finding food. So we have to work to get the food to survive ourselves. So for our survival, we have to suffer every day. If we can reflect suffering on these three conditions, past, future, and present, then they also can be the cause of sense of urgency. Actually, there are 8. Okay, now I cannot find 2 more. I'm finding 2 more. Okay, you can continue the next question.
Sayadaw, so this brother is asking for the seven kinds of noble wealth. So
Okay.
it's about the 7 kinds of noble wealth. Sayadaw had explained in the Dhammatalk before that one of them is the last one is the wisdom.
Wisdom, yeah.
Panya. So it's asking about which panya is referring to. So is it the panya that we should attain become the sotapanna? Is it the panya referring to the sotapanna, or the panya that we understand the cause, the karma and result. So
okay, that's all right.
Just the first.
Yeah. Okay, so that means when we talk about panya, it also can be considered as you say, karma ownership knowledge. This is basis knowledge for Buddhists, right? That means understanding karma, good action will produce good result, and so on. This is called karma ownership knowledge. This is also called panya. Now we also have jhana maya panya, produced by jhana, attainment. Now we also have insight knowledges. This is also panya. We also have past knowledge. They also called panya. We also have future knowledge. This is also panya. We also have reviewing knowledge. They also called panya. Okay, it will cover karma ownership knowledge 1, right? 2, jhana maya panya, produced by jhana attainment. Then insight knowledge, past knowledge, future knowledge, also reviewing knowledge 6, right?
Sayadaw, so continue. He is asking about the 4 types of effort. So
effort, yeah.
So he is asking about which is the correct one. So to prevent oneself from the unwholesome action one has never done.
Yeah.
And to maintain the wholesome action. So which one is the correct? To prevent oneself from the unwholesome action one has never done before.
This is also right. Okay, I should say 4 now at the same time, right? The first one, to stop the old habits of unwholesome actions. That means we have habitual wholesome action, right? To stop bad habits, old habits. This is the first one. The second, to prevent ourselves from the unwholesome actions we have never done before. There's 2 things about unwholesome. There are also 2 more efforts for wholesome. The first one is to maintain the wholesome actions we are doing now. Our habitual good actions. Okay, maintain habitual good actions now. Then 3, the last one, number 4, to improve wholesome actions. That means we have to do many wholesome actions we have never done before.
So, but Sayadaw is continue asking. So when our mind have anger, and then suddenly we aware that our anger is bad, and we change it become metta. We spread our metta instead of spreading the anger. to other people, we spread our metta. So this kind of effort is categorized as number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4.
Okay, so
Anger
that
becomes
means, okay, actually, anger, if you are a short temper, right, it can be habitual. It can be the first one. Stop, right?
Please, Brother Sumbi.
Oh, great. So Sayadaw, Kovida, thank you very much for all of your Dharma talks. I have been following for a while, and they brought me much peace and happiness. So thank you for your compassion. My question is about what happens if we put too much effort. So the talk is about the enlightenment factor of effort, but for about 2 years now, I tend to put too much effort, particularly in the practice of anapanasati. So because I put too much effort, a lot of times my mindfulness of breathing turns into 4 elements, and I feel the tension around my face, and it gets very hard to focus on breathing. So I was wondering if you had any advice in particular about should I stop meditating for a while and do the 4 protective meditations as I go about my daily life, or should I just keep doing my regular sits and just try to control myself? I've really had a hard time trying to reduce my effort. Really struggle with that. So if you have any advice, it's gotten better recently. I've had a few sessions that I really found very peaceful, but if you have any advice for me, that would be great.
Okay, now you have already experiences, right? You have already experienced making stronger efforts cause a lot of stiffness, tension around your face.
Yeah.
So if you can relax well, you can continue meditation, not really big problem. Especially in the very beginning, you can open your eyes, focus on the breath normally, without making any efforts. Just keep knowing naturally. It will be getting better. When you have a little bit better focusing, you can slightly close your eyes. It will be okay. Okay, now one more thing. Sorry. If you feel tense too much, when it becomes unbearable, it's a little bit risky. When you have this kind of experiences, you should change the objects. Don't focus in your body. Like for example, breathing meditation also in your body. 4 elements also in your body, right? Don't focus in your body. It should be outside your body, like a Buddhanosati, Metta, or Dhammanosati, Javanosati, any or recollection you can try. So if you can focus on external objects well, not that much making efforts, then when you feel free and comfortable, come back to the breath. It will be better. Okay?
Thank you, Sayadaw. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sayadaw, regarding the panya, when we fulfill the panya parami, in the same time, do we also develop the Dhamma Vicaya Sambojjhanga? Thank you, Sayadaw.
Okay, Dhamma Vicaya Sambojjhanga and panya parami will be 2 different things. That means when we are going to talk about parami, it must be for the welfare of other living beings, not for the welfare of ourselves. When we talk about Dhamma Vicaya Sambojjhanga, we have to develop for ourselves, right? These were 2 different things, 2 different perspectives. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Sayadaw.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Sayadaw, for the Dhamma Desana, Anumodami. May the true Dhamma continue to shine throughout our life. May Sayadaw always be happy, healthy, and have a long life. We hope that Sayadaw would continue to guide us in our Dhamma learning journey. May our merits of keeping the precepts, listening to the Dhamma, be strong supporting condition for our attainment of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, hold on.
Etawata cha amehi
Etawata amehi
Sambadam punya sambadam
Sambatam punya sampadam
Sabbe dewa numodandu
Sabbe dewa anumodantu
Sabbe buddha numodandu
Sabbe buddha anumodantu
Sabbe satta numodandu
Sabbe satta anumodantu
Sabba Sampati Siddhya.
Sabba Sampati Siddhya.
Idame Nyadinam Hodu.
Idame Nyatinam Hotu.
Sukita Hondu Nyadayo.
Sukita Hontu Nyatayo.
Idame Nyadinam Hodu.
Idame Nyatinang Hotu.
Sukita Hondu Nyadayo.
Sukita Hontu Nyatayo.
Idame Nyadinam Hodu.
Idame Nyatinang Hotu.
Sukita Hondu Nyadayo.
Sukita Hontu Nyatayo.
Idame Bunyam.
Idame Punyang.
Asawa Kaya Waham Hodu.
Asawakaya Wahang Hotu.
Idame Bunyam.
Idame Punyang.
Ibanasa.
Nibbanasa.
Patayo Hodu.
Pacayo Hotu.
Mama Bunya Bagam.
Mama Punya Bagang.
Tapasatanam.
Sabasatanang.
Bajemi.
Bajemi.
Desabe.
Pesabe.
Mesamam.
Mesamang.
Punya Bagam.
Punya Bagang.
Labantu.
Labantu. Sadu. 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 Buddha sasanam
Sasanam Jiram.
jirang titatu.
Buddha Sasanam
jirang
Jiram Detatu.
titatu.
Buddha Sasanam Jiram
Titatu.
Detatu.
Sadu, sadu, sadu.
Buddha
Buddha
sasanam
sasanam jiram ditatu.
cirang titatu. Buddha
Buddha
sasanam
sasanam jiram ditatu.
cirang titatu.
Buddha
Buddha
sasanam
sasana cirang
jiram
titatu.
ditatu. Sadhu,
Sadhu.
sadhu, sadhu.